Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining us. This is Sean Twyman with Idex Solutions, and this is our first webinar of the quarter. We've got a few coming up, but this is the first one as we wind down the year. We're going to be talking about managing bills and materials using Innovia SmarTeam. So again, thanks for joining. Again, my name is Sean Twyman. I've also got on the line Bill Stockton from United Streetcar. First, a little bit about our company. We are company's Idex Solutions. I see a lot of attendees are customers of ours, and there are also attendees that we've not done business with yet, so thanks for attending. We are a Dassault Systems partner for both implementation, software sales, and education. So we support all the different Dassault products from implementation, help desk, customization, automation, training. We also have an engineering services division here in Portland, Oregon, where our headquarters is, and we provide engineering services primarily using CATIA, but other CAD as well. And as I mentioned, on the line is also Bill Stockton from United Streetcar. What we're trying to do with some of these webinars we're doing now is involve the customers, give the customers a chance to come in and talk about their experience with some of the products that we're demonstrating, so that everybody out there can kind of see who's using it and what they're doing with it, more than from a reseller or implementer perspective, get a real customer view. So we appreciate Bill Stockton being here with us today. United Streetcar is they're the only manufacturer of streetcars here in the U.S. They started a couple years ago. They're a division of Oregon Iron Works here in Portland, who's a heavy machinery manufacturer. And so a couple years ago, they started owning the design of a streetcar and getting close to actually hitting production with that, hitting delivery here shortly of streetcars for a couple cities, one being Portland, another being Tucson. So we're happy to have them as a customer. They are using CATIA V5 for mechanical design. That's not critical for what we're talking about, but it's just it happens to be what they're using. With what we're going to be talking about, you can use any number of CAD tools to be able to use SmarTeam for BOM management. And in parallel to that, they are using Innovia SmarTeam for their CAD data management and BOM and item management. So with that, I'm going to start off by turning it over to Bill to talk a little bit about his experience with Innovia SmarTeam at United Streetcar.
Hi, everybody. This is Bill. Initially, Idex helped set up our system, the SmarTeam, and performed the implementation with us, and that was 2009, I'm going to say. Is that correct?
That sounds
Going
about
back
right.
in time. Sounds about right, yeah. And we used a batch import. We already had some modeling had been created in CATIA, and bill of materials that had been generated. And we performed, and this is the second bullet in the line item here, a batch import using CATIA parts and products, and which also generated a very preliminary bill of material. And that was all from an Excel spreadsheet along with PDFs, CATIA CAD parts and CAD products. So one of the values that we wanted to get out of SmarTeam and CATIA was the vault, having a secure vault in both the existing drawings, CAD models. We also had some legacy data in PDFs and AutoCAD, and all that was generated as part of the implementation. We also have, moving on to the next bullet here, same page. Sorry, Sean. The link existing from the CAD data to the newly imported BOM. And we also went through and looked at the attributes that we needed to create uniquely for United Streetcar to manage the, those are the custom attributes that we added. And we're continuing to do that as we go, adding custom attributes as needed. So, okay, Sean, next slide. All right, so early in the program, we realized we had manpower limitations. So many companies will be managing their CAD data, their bill of material, and their purchasing system, their ERP system, separately, and usually there's a manual, well, I shouldn't say usually, but many times there's a manual data transfer between these three systems. So we knew that in order to eliminate the redundant addition of data going from system to system, we wanted the value of seamless integration between these three systems. So from the CAD data side, we're using CATIA, and the SmarTeam integration, there is a function in SmarTeam. It's the BOM from documents tree and BOM from CAD, and that is executed automatically when we check in data or release data into SmarTeam. And that generates the bill of material on the SmarTeam side automatically, as well as transferring newly updated information such as mass or any material changes. So that goes directly into the SmarTeam bill of material side. Another tricky part was the seamless integration between SmarTeam and our purchasing system, our ERP system, and we performed that through the scripted data transfer. And so on the BOM side in SmarTeam, we have custom attributes for manufacturing information, supplier information, etc. There's probably about 30 separate line items that are either transferred directly from CATIA to the BOM or combination of manual entry on the SmarTeam side. And as we release the bill of materials in SmarTeam, that scripted data transfer happens automatically to the ERP side. So next slide, Sean, please.
I'm a little slow.
Okay. All right, so the values that we get from the system, we maximize our efficiency from the following. The CAD originates our bill of material. So even adhesives, what we say is anything that goes down the rail with a vehicle, we have to include in the bill of material, whether it's a manufacturer item or a purchased item. The CAD originates the bill of material. And therefore we get, from our system that we've set up, we reduce our head count because we have single data entry and we have our automation. And another value that we get out of our system is the data ownership. So rather than having people in different departments own data or the data transfer, the systems are doing these transfer for us, so we have single data entry. That's a big value for data accuracy as well as efficiency. Any questions about that?
All right.
Okay.
And actually, one kind of housekeeping thing is with the large group that we have, everybody is muted right now. So
okay.
If you don't mind putting your questions through the chat, then what we'll do is maybe we'll answer those at the end, and anything we don't get to, then we will follow up with an official email response or something. We'll get your questions answered, but if you could use the Q&A through the WebEx, that'd be great. Okay. Well, thanks, Bill. That's,
okay.
It's good to hear. I'm glad things are going well over there, and it's good to see how customers are actually implementing it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what we're going to be demonstrating today, and a good portion of it is really what Bill has helped implement over there at United Streetcar, is item management. Taking, what this slide kind of depicts is, when we design something in CAD, we design really a small portion of what your company really sells. There are a lot of components that go into making up your products, and CAD is certainly one piece, and the design is a critical piece, but it's not the only piece that really makes up your product. So what we're going to talk about today is taking that CAD, kind of driving the initial BOM creation, creating all the items for the individual components, and then creating a BOM structure directly from the CAD, but certainly not limiting it to that, because I'm sure we all know that there's a lot of other components that go along with it, with what we're doing. So what we're talking about is going away from a CAD-centric approach to an item-centric approach. And what an item-centric approach is what we're looking at here, where we have an item in SmarTeam, and it's really just a collector for a lot of different types of data. We see CAD data there. On the left, we see, looks like maybe some Excel spreadsheets. We've got some FEA data. We've got all kinds of data that really come together to make up this item. All these are really either specifications that drive the definition of the item, or they could be reference documents as well that may not necessarily drive the definition, but are somewhat pertinent to the definition of an item. Within items, similar to other areas of SmarTeam, we have different classes of items. We have standard items, software items, and temporary items. And these are things that are there in what we call a SmarTeam Express environment. So these are, depending on what version of SmarTeam you're running, you will see these right away if you implement BOM management. If you're running older versions, then you may need to create these manually. So when I say existing, it's really going to depend on what your current environment looks like. Items are going to be mostly items that that your company designs. Standard items are going to be a lot of purchased items. It could be as large as like a motor for a car, or a motor for anything, down to bolts and nuts and washers. Software items, that's pretty self-explanatory. And temporary items is going to be a placeholder, because we don't always know what items may go into a bill of material up front. We know that we're going to have something, but we don't know the part number and we don't know much about it. So we can create temporary items as placeholders. And then just like we have on the CAD side, we have lifecycle management that go with the items. On the CAD side, you've got check-in, check-out, release, and so on. On the item side, we have different levels, starting with, if you have a temporary, then you can start there. Goes from in work to limited release, approved, and released. Now these are flexible as well. These are these again are if you have a certain version of SmarTeam Forward, you will have these out of the box. If you have a custom implementation of SmarTeam, or an older implementation, which there's certainly a lot of them out there, then these may not be inherent. So these are what we call part of the Design Express. Then the other thing we're going to talk about are configuration views. Certainly everybody's idea of what a bill of material is going to be different depending on who you are within your company. An engineer typically cares about an engineering BOM, just getting all the data in there so that it can then be turned over to manufacturing. Manufacturing then is going to take that and pull components out, maybe rearrange assemblies. Different things get put together, different parts of the assembly line. So they've got their own idea of a BOM. And then here's a third example, which is just another example of one of many other types of BOMs, a service BOM. And in my demo, I think we'll talk about a packaging BOM as well. So these different views, we call them configuration views, are really just different ways of looking at the same basic structure, but being able to tweak it differently for different uses around the company. Okay, so that's it. So let's take a look at it. All right. So I'm logged into SmarTeam right now. Again, I'm running a SmarTeam V5 R19, or I mean R20, excuse me. So again, if you have something that's been installed and implemented within the last couple of years, you're probably going to look like this. If it's 3 or 4 years older, then it may look a little bit differently and not have all these capabilities. Doesn't mean you can't get there, but this is based on a SmarTeam Express implementation. So what I have here is I've got some CAD data installed on the screen here, and if I go to the viewer, we can see what it is. And basically what we're dealing with is a drill press. And my goal today with this drill press is to take the stand assembly and get that ready for, take that through the bill of material process. I'm going to create an engineering BOM out of the stand, and I'm also going to create a packaging BOM out of the stand. So I'm going to create a couple different versions. If you're familiar with SmarTeam, then you've seen the profile card before. Within each of these parts and assemblies on the left here, as I click across them, my profile card is going to change, show me information about them. And again, if you've been using SmarTeam much, then this is pretty familiar to you. But a couple things that we're going to talk about that may not have been talked about much is this item number. Typically, it's blank depending on your implementation. This can be driven from the CAD, but this item number is what is actually going to drive my item number in SmarTeam when I go to create my item structure. Okay. And then the other thing is when I look at links, there's a couple link types over here that you may have noticed but not actually done anything with before. We have specified items. Now, specified items are going to be items that are related to, going to be BOM type items that my CAD data is related to. And you can see as I click through this, I really don't have any today, but I'm going to create some. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, again, my job is to take this stand, if I can find it here. Yeah, it's here at the bottom. So I'm going to take this stand, and I'm going to open this up into its own window. So I'm going to right-click on there and say Open Views, Top-Down Tree. I'm going to get rid of the original one, just to avoid confusion. And this is really the component that I'm working with today. Okay, so I want to create an engineering BOM and then a packaging BOM out of this particular stand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, I can create a BOM any number of ways, but what you have the ability to do in SmarTeam is just right-click at the top level, and we have BOM from Documents, and this is going to be the easiest way to at least get a start. It's not the only way. Again, I can go in and I can create items and I can create BOMs and start linking them from that standpoint, and then link CAD data underneath it. But if my structure is good and that's a really good starting point, then that's probably going to be what I feel like you're probably going to do most of the time. Now, the other thing that I should mention is it is possible within SmarTeam to have this item structure built as you save the CAD data into SmarTeam. My environment's not set up that way. I'm choosing to, as necessary, go in and create my my BOM structure on the fly. So again, I'm just going to right-click on my CAD structure, BOM from Documents, create/update BOM document. And you're not going to notice anything happen right away, not a lot of bells and whistles, but if I go over to, now I look at my links and my specified items, now you see that I do have an item that's actually linked to this CAD data, where I didn't have that before. I was clicking through it and you saw I didn't have that. As I click through this structure, notice that it created an item for each of my different components. Okay, so let's take a look at that item structure that it created. Well, from my link, I'm just going to right-click here and I'm going to say Open Views Top-Down Tree, which is going to give me a separate window of this. And now if I expand this right window to be the same as the left, now you can see that I have an item structure here, and I've got my CAD structure here, and you can see that they're exactly the same as of right now. Now the icons are similar. If we look at the icon, this is the icon for an item. This represents a state, similar to what we have state over here. We've got check-in, check-out, and release on the CAD data. On the right, we have a little bit different structure. We have the in-work, we have the limited release, and release, like I mentioned earlier. So this is very similar. You know, again, if you're used to SmarTeam for CAD data, it's not going to be a big stretch to get used to using SmarTeam to manage your BOMs. Okay? So there's a side-by-side of my engineering or my CAD data, my engineering BOM today. So let's talk about the profile card a little bit. So this has data related to the item. Notice it did take my description from the CAD, so I don't have to key in the description again. There's a mapping tool that we'll look at here in a little bit that takes data from CAD and allows you to reduce data reentry by pulling it from the CAD. We've got a couple items in here that are interesting. We have phantom item. If this particular item that I'm picking on is a phantom item, I can pick this, and it will make it to where it doesn't show up in certain reports. And what that really allows me to do is, like for example, if this movable table was really just a collector for these components below it, but not really part of it, you know, I just had to maybe in my CAD structure assemble them under there for ease of modeling. I could make that a phantom item, and it would not show up in my BOM. Okay, so this general profile card is going to be the things that, again, this is customizable, but these, to start with, are the things that people look at the most, maybe the most used items. Okay, I can define this as a long lead item. On any of these, I can right-click on this and update it. And if this particular one is a long lead item, I can check that, say, yeah, it's a long lead item, say OK, and now that is marked as a long lead item. Now, the advantage of SmarTeam for everything really is that we can start putting attributes on it, and we can start filtering data based on different attributes. So now I filter, if I want to search for all my long lead items, I can do that easily now that I've checked these boxes. Okay. We also have an ERP tab. This is data that could come from an ERP or feed ERP. In this case, we've got cost, we've got weight, we've got materials. Again, I can either manually key this in, or if this data already exists in my ERP system, I can suck that in from there so I can avoid re-entry. But this gets the cost in here again, so I can maybe do some analysis on my design and maybe make some decisions based on cost. And then we've got system info, which basically just tells you some information about who created it. Effectivity is going to be a way where we can put dates to different items. If we've got, if this drill press that I'm working on here, we'll go back and take a look at it. Go back to the CAD data and take a look at it. If, let's say, this handle is going to be replaced, maybe I've got a plastic handle, and as of a certain date, I'm going to replace it with a stainless steel handle. Then I can put effectivities on this current handle, create a new handle with effectivity that picks it up from that date, and then I can automatically generate reports that are going to pick up that change as of a certain date. So that's effectivity. It's going to let you start filtering things based on events, calendar events that around your product. And then we got links, just like we had on the CAD data. We've got links, and if I look at specifications are going to be anything that drives the physical definition of my part, of my item. So in this case, my CAD data is certainly part of the definition. Not the only part of the definition. I'll show you some more items that might help define it as well, or some more data that will help define it, but certainly the CAD is a big piece. If I've got data that's not necessarily driving the data, but more reference, maybe a customer sent me a letter about a problem, and I want to link that to this item. It's not really driving the definition, but it's certainly a reference document. I can link that in here. Okay. So at this point, we're the same. We have a item structure that matches our CAD structure. So let's start doing a couple things to make that different. Let's say, for example, I want to start, maybe I've got a document I want to link in here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to find a document first that I want to link in. And I'm just going to go to Documents, and I'm going to look for specification documents. And I've got this part mark specification. And if I look at the viewer, maybe I need to be able to tell the shop floor how to put part mark on this specific stand. So I've got this specification that I want to link in here. Now this is a specification that is going to drive the definition of this part. So if I'm going to link it in here, I really don't want to do it under Documents. I want to do it under Specification. Okay, so to do that, I just go to the link specification, and I can just drag and drop this in there, and it says, do you want to link it as a dependent? And I say yes. So now I can close this window, and now I've got a reference to that document right here within my item. Okay, so now I've got two specifications that are driving this. Now, quick comment about how to determine specification, or the implications of specification versus documents, is that specifications will be required to be released before this item is released. If it's a reference document, SmarTeam's not going to care, at least this version, and certainly it's customizable. But if it's a reference document, SmarTeam is not going to force you to release it first. It's not driving the specification, it's not driving the definition of this item. So it's going to let me release this top-level item without having those documents released. In this case, I can see that this part mark specification is released, and also my stand for my CATIA data is released, so we're good there. Okay, so the other thing that I may want to do, let's do this. Let's go back to our initial folder structure. Within my project. And here's my project, just like standard SmarTeam. I've got a project, and I want to start uploading some reference data. So maybe I'm going to put it under design. I've got some FEA data that I want to associate with this. So from there I'm just going to go to Actions, Upload Documents, and from my desktop I'm going to pick this image. And this image, it happens to just be an image of FEA results. So so it's a document. It is just an image. It's not the actual FEA modifiable data. So I'll say Upload. And if I go to the Viewer tab, there's my FEA results. And I'm not so sure this belongs to the stand or not, but it works for my purposes here. So I've got this into SmarTeam now. I don't necessarily need to release it. I just want to make it as reference data. I'm going to close some of this other stuff in the background. And really what I want to do is I want to link this in as a document. Again, it's not a specification that I want to drive anything, but I just want it to be referenced. And now it's in there as a reference document. Okay, so now the nice thing is I've got all this stuff linked in here, but really it's kind of cumbersome to have to go jump specification document to see everything linked to this. So now what we have the ability to do is we can go associated objects, and basically within the context of this left window I can say show me all documents associated to this tree on the left. And there's my FEA results. But I also want to see specifications, so I can say right-click and say Associated Object Specification Links. So now you can see where my tree is really getting to be different than what my CAD data is. Now I've got an item, I've got two different specifications which are listed in red here, and then I've got a reference document. Okay. So the other thing I can do is now I can do a bill of material compare. So what bill of material compare lets me do is compare two different types of items. And items, I don't mean items, two different types of structures. So when I pick on bill of material compare, if I've got this selected, it assumes that I want to start with this item, and it says, okay, what do you want to compare it to? So I'm going to do a quick search to compare it to my CAD data. And I'm going to say, so I've got these stored searches. I'm going to compare it to my stand CAD data. I'm going to say, it says, is this what you really want to compare it to? I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to go to compare. Okay, so this is my bill of material comparison. I'm comparing basically two different types of structures. On the left, you can see by the icons, I've got my item structure. On the right, my CAD structure. Today, they are no different. My item structure may have some reference documents, but the actual structure itself is the same. So let's start making some changes to our item structure, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so I can do a manipulation here if I want to add components. Like I'm going to add some screws to this. There's some screws that need to get put along with this that aren't already modeled. So rather than model them, I'm just going to put them in the bill of material. I'm not going to do them in CAD. So I can right-click and I can say Add Item, or the other way that I'm going to go about it is, there we go. I'm going to go to my BOM editor. A BOM editor, a lot of people like because a lot of people that manage BOMs tend to like to use Excel, and a lot of people are familiar with Excel. So this gives it to you in a little bit different format than just a tree structure. So this is a BOM editor. It's the exact same thing I was looking at in a tree. I got the exact same structure over here, but now I'm able to manipulate this a little bit, and I can start adding components. You can see as I click on things at the top, as I select things at the top, I get all the attributes from the profile card and relational data down below, just like I can on a profile card. So this is a quick way to jump across multiple items within a BOM and say, show me everything you know about this. I get similar functionality to the profile cards. I get where used, composed of. I do get a change history that I'll show you here in a second. And then structural changes and specifications. So these are specifications linked to whatever I've got selected. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to I need some screws and some nuts put as part of this assembly. So I'm going to right-click here and I'm going to say Add. Actually, I'll do it a different way. I'm going to do a search. So I do have some saved searches that have my hardware in them. So like any big company, I've got 6 pieces of hardware here, and that's all I use. So what I want to use is I want to use this machine head screw. And one thing I do here as well on this search is I've got this set to display the cost. So when I'm adding components, because I'm looking at items that have a cost factor associated to them, I can choose hardware based on cost if I want. And I do have the profile card here where I can see any amount of data I want. I can see if it's a long lead item. Long lead item is probably another good thing to have here when you're searching for components to drop in there. But for now, I'm just going to drag and drop this one in here. And you can see that it's added right there below. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and get the hex nut that goes along with that. All right, and once they're there, I don't need this window anymore. So now the nice thing is from here, let's say I need 10 of them. I can just key in 10 and 10. And now if you go down to my changes, you can see that it knows that I've added a component here and I've added a component here. That knows about structural changes. If I click on this, if I click on actually one of the nuts or bolts, it's going to tell me that I changed the quantity, I should say from 1 to 10, change it from, probably from nothing to 10 actually, it had nothing in there. So change it from nothing to 10. So I'm affecting this bill of material directly from here without having to go to the tree, and it's a much easier interface. From here I can right-click on anything, I can update it, I can change something from a make to a buy if I want. So I have full flexibility to modify this bill of material from right here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this out now. Notice my tree structure updated automatically. So I'm going to do another bill of material compare. And I'm going to compare the same item structure with my CAD data again. And now we can see the difference. Now we're starting to see some difference between the left and the right one. And it's nice because it actually gives you gaps where things are missing or things are deleted. Down here in red, it'll tell you if something's been deleted. It'll tell you if something's been added, changed. So you can see how the structure, just at a glance, I can see how the structure is changing. Now the nice thing too, I don't have Excel installed on this. This is a test box that I didn't get Excel installed on. But I can actually export this out to Excel, and almost any BOM, any BOM window that I have, I can export to Excel. So I can manipulate that, and I can send it to a supplier. I can do anything I want with it in Excel, which again, I think a lot of people like to work in. So that capability is there. Okay, so now we've got. You can kind of see how things are stacking up. I've got an item structure, which I'm considering this my engineering BOM. I'm an engineer and I'm responsible for this bill of material, and the design group didn't put these bolts and washers in, so bolts and nuts, so I did it myself here without having to go back there. And I can continue to build this up and make my item structure match whatever I want. Okay, so now, next step is this gets put onto manufacturing. So now we want to create a manufacturing view of this BOM. Manufacturing may not like something about it. They want to do something different. So what we can do is right-click here. Actually, I want to make a comment about capabilities. I'm logged in as the admin user in this environment, which means that I can do anything for anybody for the most part. In a typical environment, there's going to be security to where only certain people may be able to create manufacturing bombs, or only certain people may be able to add items. So what I'm able to do here without repercussions is a little bit different than what you're going to see in your production environment if you implement this. No different than with your SmarTeam today with CAD or anything else, where you're assigned a role, and your role dictates what you can do. So I just want to make it clear that I'm kind of a master user here, and I'm able to do everything without logging in and logging out. All right. So from this engineering BOM, I'm going to right-click on that and say, actually no, I got to create it first. So I'm going to open a copy tool because I got to copy this and create a manufacturing BOM. So if I open the copy tool, there's again some mapping tools that we'll talk about here. But in general, I want to take this BOM that I've got selected there, and I want to create a manufacturing BOM out of it. And again, I've got packaging BOM. I could have service BOM like we saw on the screens earlier. I could create an unlimited number of BOMs depending on how many people need different versions of this. Okay, so I'm going to create a manufacturing BOM, and I'm going to copy it. And here is my manufacturing BOM. Again, it looks just like my engineering BOM because that's where I created it. Okay. So right now I've got basically a manufacturing BOM, and it says at the top there it's a manufacturing BOM view. I've got it created right now. There's no difference, so let's go make some difference. So what I want to do is I want to take advantage of maybe some packaging. I want to get rid of these 10 screws and nuts, and I want to replace them with something else. So let me go back to my search, and I'm going to bring up my hardware list again. And here's my hardware, and so I've got all the same hardware I had here. I've got different costs. Here's one that's a package. So this is something that's packaged up. Since I'm in manufacturing, this is going to get delivered with screws in a package as opposed to loose for the shop to put in. And if I want to see what I'm picking there, if I'm not sure if it's the right thing, I can go to links and documents. And there happens to be a document here. Let's see what that is. Yep, that's my package of screws, and that's what I want. So again, we're getting to, this is another example of how you can take additional data that you wouldn't necessarily be able to link to CAD data. I've been able to link this image into this to this item, and now it's just an image there that anybody can see. And again, since this is a database, anybody in the company that has access to SmarTeam either through a thick client or the web can get to this. Okay, so this is definitely what I want to use. It is a quantity of 5, so once I drop this in there on my manufacturing BOM, to get the same number of hardware, I'm going to have to go a quantity of 2 of each of those, and then I can go up and get rid of this my screw and washer or screw and nut. I'm going to delete that out of there. I'm going to delete the nut out of there. And so now I've got a different type of structure here. I've got pretty much the same, ultimately when you think about it, I really haven't changed anything other than the way it's packaged. And again, as a manufacturing engineer, that's kind of my job, is to package it up differently. I can see the change history down here. I can see the structural changes, what I removed and what I added. I can do composed of. So all the same things I could do before, I'm able to do here. All right. So let's close this again. We've got our manufacturing BOM kind of set. Now we're going to go into, now let's compare our engineering BOM to our manufacturing BOM. So again, I'm going to go select the item that I want to compare from. And I just need to search on what I want to compare to. And if you do a lot of SmarTeam searches, then you get used to creating stored searches. So that's kind of that's exactly what I've done here, is create stored searches so I don't always have to be looking for my data. So I'm going to look for the drill press BOM structure. And yeah, that's it. So I say OK. Now the difference is this upper one, if I do a compare now, I'm comparing apples to apples. They're the exact same thing. But now what I want to do is I want to compare on the right tree, I want to compare it to the manufacturing BOM. So I'm comparing the engineering BOM above to the manufacturing BOM below. And now you can see my differences there. So on the left is my hardware broken out, and you can see they're missing here, and here I've got the packages, the 2 packages, as opposed to the 2 pieces of individual hardware. All right. Let's talk about the copy tool for a second. In the administrator options, I've got copy tool mapping. You've seen a couple times where I've used a copy tool. And you may or may not have access to this depending on who you are, but I want to show you how we're eliminating data re-entry by allowing somebody to copy attributes from one to another. So in this case, this is my BOM from CAD mapping. And this, when I created the BOM from the CAD structure, this is what it used. It took the ID number, and it became the ID number on the item. It took the description and gave it description. At the part level, it also mapped some things. And I can just right-click here and say Add Mapper. And this on the left is all my CAD data attributes, and on the right is all my item attributes. So I can map any value from my CAD data, from my CAD structure to my item structure by just changing this mapping. So it's really easy to use, and again, it eliminates data reuse, and I know, or data reentry, not data reuse. And like Bill was saying, reducing data entry and re-entry is certainly critical when you have limited staff, and also to increase the quality of what's getting put into your item structure. Okay, so let me do a quick search now. So I've got, so this is my CAD structure here. I've got my engineering bill of material here. And now I'm going to take a look at, I'm going to put side by side with my manufacturing BOM. So I'm just going to right click on this and say open configuration views. I want to open my manufacturing BOM. And there it is right there. If I expand it out. So there we have side by side, we have the three different data structures that we've created so far here within the last half hour or so. So we've got the CAD data here on the left. The CAD data is really the only one that's got viewers, because I can't, it's the only one that's got real CAD data to view. But the benefit of having it there is that now I can easily, from within my item structure, I can access my CAD data just as easily now, because I'm looking at my item level. I see there's my CAD data. As soon as I click on it, I get the viewer here too as well. So I can view that data here. I can view my part mark specification. I can view my FEA analysis, all right here from within my structure. And if I go over to this guy, go over to my manufacturing bill of material, right click on this and say associated objects, say I want to see all my specifications there as well. Notice all my specifications are there because when I copied this, all my specification links got brought over. Now I can go to associated views and say I also want to see all my documents. So there's documents that are associated to it. So again, from a manufacturing perspective, I not only can now change hardware and components, I can add new documents. I can do whatever I want to make this structure really my own. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about here, we're trying to keep this within an hour if we can. The last thing I'm going to talk about is just a little bit about workflow. Getting the data into SmarTeam is one thing, but another big benefit is being able to manage a workflow. And within SmarTeam, we have, at least this version of SmarTeam, again, this is an express version of SmarTeam. So we'll talk about what's out of the box and what's customized here, which is really nothing if you have the right environment there. So we have these default processes. Some of them are related to items. I have standard item approval. I have item release. If I want to send this item through a release process, I can right-click on it. I'm not going to take it through the whole process, but I can pick on item release. And it kicks off a workflow for this particular item. And in fact, all the sub-items are part of that workflow as well. So as long as I'm on the top node here, this is my my workflow. It's got a default number ITR 00005. And if I look at the flow chart, this is the actual workflow that all these documents are going to be put through. So I'm going to take this through the first step is sender review. If that person approves it, then it moves on to production engineering. Then if he approves it, somebody gets notified and it's done, and the item's released. At any point, somebody can kick it back and it starts over. So this is a basic workflow that's here now. This is easily customizable. If you know Visio, then it's easy to create additional workflows. So this is just an example of some of the things that you can do once you start managing your items inside SmarTeam, as opposed to Excel, where a lot of us are probably comfortable there, but you certainly can't take advantage of any of this linking and any of this workflow that's in there today. So I think that's about all I was going to cover. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's go back to my slides. So, talking about the software and licensing. Again, I'm running SmarTeam V5R20 right now. It's been installed pretty much out of the box by one of our administrators, and it's it's a clean database right out of the box. So everything you see here today, if it's done with the SmarTeam Express, is capable with pretty minimal effort. So really what would have to be done is maybe some additional attributes if you've got custom attributes. If you're pulling data from ERP, it might be some scripting that needs to happen there, but in general, it's pretty robust. Out of the box, you're going to be able to do most of the things that all the things that I just showed. Now the other benefit is that it's multi-CAD. I showed CATIA data, but certainly with SolidWorks or Pro-E or any other types of data, you can build the same BOM structure and you can do the exact same thing. In fact, you can mix and match CAD types within a BOM structure. So again, what you saw today was SmarTeam Express. If you're on R18, anything earlier than R18, then it's probably going to be more work to get there, and the amount of work to get there kind of is going to vary based on your implementation. But again, if you're on 18 or later, then more than likely you've got a lot of what we have here. As far as licensing goes, got a typo there. As far as licensing goes, the only thing you really need in addition to what you probably have today for SmarTeam is BOM licenses. And BOM licenses are concurrent. As people connect and start managing and manipulating BOMs, then they're going to consume a license. So depending on how many people you have that are actually active working on BOMs, editing BOMs, viewing BOMs, and so on, that's going to dictate how many BOM licenses you need. But again, they are concurrent. All right. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and submit them through the chat. I don't see any right now, so I'll give everybody a couple minutes to type something in if they have something to ask. Okay, so here comes one. If the part changes in the CAD, is the BOM automatically updated? So what you have the ability to do is, yeah, you can certainly update the as CAD changes, you can certainly update the item structure, and you can do that one of two ways. You can do it manually by right-clicking and saying update my BOM, or you can set it to where as you write data to SmarTeam, it will automatically update your BOM structure. So it's really kind of a process issue, but it can certainly be done, and I think it's yeah, there's pros and cons for both ways. Yeah, okay, hang on one second. I think I got another question. So there's a question around around effectivity dates and managing that. So the way effectivity dates work is I have let's take a car for example. If I've got a car that's going to produce, I'm going to produce one car from now until the end of the year, and then next year I'm going to produce the same car but with a different engine. So I don't have to reuse the majority of the car. Most of the car is good this year and next year, but it's the restrictions on the engine itself that gets filtered down. So the engine gets filtered down to where its effectivity is only good through 12/31 of 2011, and then I've got another engine that picks it up from there. So it's really all we're talking about is instances. All the data within SmarTeam, whether it's images or CAD data, it resides once and then it's instanced around. So using it in more than one place doesn't hurt anything. It just means that it has more where used. So that's really all we're doing is we're just filtering the where used on these different components as it gets used around. Let's see, if you're in the CAD BOM, how are you aware if items or manufacturing BOMs exist? Let me get out of this and take a look real quick. So for every CAD data that I have, I've got the links, and the easiest way for me to tell if an item exists is just go to pick on the item. I can pick links and I can pick specified items. If there's an item there that it's linked to, then it's going to show up in this list. If it's not there, then there's nothing linked to it. Now what links them initially is that item number field. So that's what creates them, and it creates that relationship between the two. But once that relationship's created, then when the CAD data, like I said earlier, when the CAD data gets updated, the item would get updated, and it's through that relational link through that item number. So, but as far as seeing if there's one there, this is how you're going to tell if there's one there. You just, from the CAD data and the profile card, just pick links and specified items, and that's where it's going to be. All right. Okay. If you have anything else, go ahead and send those to me, and I can certainly answer them for you. In the meantime, beyond this, if you have questions, here's my contact information. If you're interested in finding out more about implementing it, if you're using SmarTeam or not using SmarTeam at all, Mark Teneich, our Vice President of Business Development, this is his contact information, and he can get you in touch with somebody who can get you information about getting set up yourself. Again, my feeling is that if you're using SmarTeam, especially a recent implementation of SmarTeam within the last few years, BOM is a very easy thing to implement. Should not be a problem to get installed. Fairly low cost, a little bit of training, maybe a little bit of licensing, but you know, certainly a huge benefit once you get there. All right. So again, I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, we are giving away a Space Pilot Pro for everybody, one for every session. Make it clear. So one for every session. So one attendee today will be notified that they'll win a Space Pilot Pro. So that will be tomorrow that we will have the final list and make that determination. So you'll be getting an email if you're a winner. So again, thanks for attending, and look for more sessions here in the near future. And thanks again, Bill, for your help. I appreciate the introduction. That was good to see.
You're welcome.